Terra Australis States Assembly. Alan, could you come on up, please? This is Alan Pedersen from the Serena Group in Terra Australis States Assembly. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. I don't know what the that's about. You haven't heard me talk yet. So I just want to know I'm Alan from TASA. So TASA stands for Terra Australis States Assemblies. So TASA, so Terra being land and soil, and Australis being the name of this land and soil before they called it Australia. So TASA, we're all about jurisdiction. We're about removing ourselves from the jurisdiction of the corporations back to the jurisdiction of the land and soil here on Terra Australis. So most people would know that Australia is a corporation, state of Queensland is a corporation, and if that's news to you, then you just need to Google, or if you want to Google, United States Security Exchange Commission. You can jump in there, do a file search, type in Commonwealth of Australia, type in State of Queensland, and it'll come up as corporations. So if that's a surprise, you go home and check it. So Australia and the State of Queensland are corporations, and we're being governed by corporations. We want to remove ourselves from the jurisdiction of these corporations. It's just like if BHP made a new rule in their mind, some sort of safety rule, and they wanted to try and come and implement that rule in your backyard, you'd tell them where to go because they have no jurisdiction in your backyard because they're a corporation. And it's no different with Australia and the state of Queensland being corporations, putting their jurisdiction or their rules over you. But there is a way they do that, but I'll get to that in a minute. So we want to remove ourselves from their jurisdiction and back to this land and soil Terra Australis. But Australia, the definition of Australia, if you look in the Acts Interpretation Act 1901, it says in there the definition of Australia. And it says, when talking about Australia in a geographical sense, it says Australia includes Norfolk Island, Christmas Island, Cocos, Keeling Island, and no further territories. So I just want to say that again and take note of the word includes, because the word includes is very important. Australia includes Norfolk Island, Christmas Island, Cocos and Keeling Islands, and no further territories. And so if you look up the word includes, it's actually a maxim of law, inclusio exclusio, which means that when it's not, if the word is not mentioned after includes, then by definition it is excluded. If it is not included in a contract or in law, what is said after the word includes is included. Anything said prior to the word include is by definition excluded. So Australia does not include this land and soil that we stand on. And that is the guts of what TASA is about, removing ourselves from the jurisdiction of where Australia is. Now, where is Australia? It's out there in the seas around this mainland. And the reason that is because when the English came here, 1770 or whoever it was, Captain Cook, whoever it was, they told us it was, they came to claim this land. And at the time, the English were the biggest navy in the world, and they had what's called sea jurisdiction or maritime law. They were the biggest navy, and they had the law of the sea. And so when they come out here to claim this land, when they got here, surprise, surprise, it was already inhabited, as we know. So they couldn't claim it. If they had have claimed it, it would have been seen as an act of war. So they didn't claim it. So what they did claim, because they could, they had the law of the sea, they claimed the waters around this mainland. The waters around this mainland and the islands that weren't inhabited, which is Norfolk Island, Christmas Island, Keeling Islands. So that's what they claimed and called Australia. But then they just lied and tricked us into believing that this land and soil that we stand on is Australia. But Australia is out there, and that's where their jurisdiction is, and that's where their legal jurisdiction, and they can do whatever they like out there, just like BHP can do whatever they like on their mine site and not in your backyard. That's their jurisdiction. So you ask, I can hear you saying to yourself, well, how do they have jurisdiction over us? How come they're ruling us? How come they're giving us laws and doing whatever? The simple reason is because we contract with them. Corporations can only contract with corporations. They cannot contract with living men and women unless you voluntarily contract with them. So when we voluntarily contract with these corporations, then you enter into a contract, you agree, you abide by their rules. But they've tricked us into contracting with them, and they've done that through the birth certificate. It's the birth certificate that is not us. We were told, and we believe all our life, that the birth certificate is representation of when we were born. But when we were born, we were born. Men and women are not birthed. Ships are birthed. It's maritime language. Men and we are born. And so that birth certificate is the birthing of a few things. It's the birthing of the Assessor KB Trust. It's also birthing of the straw man. Most people may have heard of the straw man, or corporate legal fictional entity that we take on as being us. And we're convinced all our lives to believe that when someone pulls us over, the police officer or whoever says, show us some ID, what we do is we hold up our licence. Well, it's not our licence. It represents your corporate fictional entity. It's not you. And there's one way of showing that. If you have a look at your licence, try and find your licence where it's not written in all capital letters. It's written in all capital letters because it's a corporate entity. Your licence, that's not even English. Your name on your licence written in all caps is called Dog Latin or Glossa. It's not English. When you were at school, were you told to write with all capital letters? You weren't. It's not English. And it's actually not meant to be not meant to be read because it's not English. But it represents your corporate fictional entity. And when you stand up and use your driver's licence or you use your birth certificate to say this is who I am, what you're saying is, I am this corporate entity. And so now I have a contract, you can contract with me. And so you've entered into the jurisdiction of that corporate government or whoever it is. You've entered into their jurisdiction, and so now with that contract they can rule and govern over you. And so as TASA, what we're about is removing ourselves from that corporate entity, removing ourselves from their jurisdiction. We don't want to be out at sea. They shanghaied us out to sea when we were born. They made us a corporate entity and they took us out to sea. We want to remove ourselves back from there, back to the land and soil of Terra Australis. We no longer want to be citizens because we don't want to be on the citizen ship. Out at sea, it's all maritime language. We want to be state nationals of Terra Australia, this land and soil that we stand on. Because it's like I said before about being a BHP out at the mines. We're not in their jurisdiction. So that's what we want to do. We want to remove ourselves from it. I'll just give you a quick analogy. If you sign up to play football, when you run onto that football field, you run onto that field knowing the rules and regulations of football. And when you're playing that game, if you do a head-high tackle, then the referee can penalise you. He can send you off because you've contracted to play the game of football the way that the rules are. And when he sends you off or whatever he does, you have to do that because that's the jurisdiction on the football field. And when we remove ourselves from that football field, we're not in his jurisdiction anymore. And so that's what TASA is about, removing ourselves from the jurisdiction back to the land and soil of Terra Australis. If you were on that football field and you decided to argue with the referee, how does it go? How many times do people get a win arguing with the referee on the field? Not much, because you're in his jurisdiction. So, you might not like the ref and you might punch him, and then what'll happen, you'll have the judiciary come down on you. And what might they do? They might fine you or ban you from playing for life. It's exactly the same in the jurisdiction when we play in the jurisdiction of Australia in their corporate fictional world. So with TASA, we want to remove ourselves back to the land and soil of Terra Australis. There's a whole process involved. It's called reconveying. We do document paperwork to support us. We reconvey from the sea back to the land, and then we're standing here as state nationals on land and soil Terra Australis. We're quickly, just to let you know how many people, so at the moment there's assemblies in Mareeba, Cairns, Townsville, Mackay, Serena, Rocky, Yeppoon, Bundaberg, all the way around Australia. There's assemblies. There's actually 350 million people in the world who are reconveying. This isn't just in Australia or Terra Australis. This fraud and this corruption has happened around the world. So there's one of the latest papers from Terra Australis which shows all about communities and everything. There's lots of information in there. But so 350 million people. This isn't a small movement. It's worldwide. People that have woken up that their countries have been treated fraudulently and corruptly, and we need to remove ourselves from their jurisdiction and stand up. So one of the things we've done at TASA nationally, the National Assembly has recently signed a declaration of peace because we're peaceful, non-harming people. Signed a declaration of peace. We've signed a declaration of independence, and we're about to sign a declaration, the invocation of law. Once we, and sorry, I should have been saying autograph, not sign, autographing the invocation of law. And once we have our invocation of law stood, we'll then have international standing. Once we have international standing, that's when they'll be able to stand their own courts. That's where TASA is at the moment. So there's no mucking around, it's a serious thing. But what I just want to finish off, I know I'm going a bit over time, quickly, is that when you're operating in their jurisdiction, it's called usufruct. Usufruct comes from the word fruit, fructose, and it means to use the poisonous fruit of the birth certificate, or use the fruit of somebody else's labour, sorry. And the poisonous fruit of the birth certificate is somebody else's, it's not ours. They formed that birth certificate when you were born, and that birth certificate is a corporate fictional entity that's not us, and it's not ours, and we're using that, and that's called being in usufruct. And if you want to stay in usufruct, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to do whatever they like. But when you're in usufruct, you're subject to everything that they want to put on you. And so we've got a bit of a saying that says, if you want to be in usufruct, then use the fruct. So that's pretty much all I want to say, except for quickly, Serena meets on first Sunday of the month and third Sunday of the month, and Mackay meets second and fourth. And you can come and talk. Here's a TASA people over here. There's someone here from Cairns, there's someone here from Townsville, Mackay and Serena. And then Di's going to quickly come up, I think, if she's around. Di, you're going to say a quick little spiel. So Di's the coordinator in Mackay, I'm the coordinator in Serena.
So, I wasn't sure what I wanted to say today, but I did want to just talk about community, because I think the most important part of everything that we've been through for the last 5 years is understanding where we are as a community and the symptoms of the destruction that we're really experiencing on a personal level. My family and I were involved in a road traffic accident at the end of last year, and we were set upon by, we were involved in an accident. People who know the story will know what happened, but the accident itself wasn't the worst of it. When we struck this person on the road, we thought, well, that was bad enough, we thought we killed someone. But then what happened after that was even worse, and we were set upon by an angry, traumatised, drunk and drugged out mob, and my husband was nearly kicked to death. My children, my stepchildren, were subjected to trauma and being attacked inside a car while the car was being demolished around them. It was really horrible, and as we watched, we were sitting for about half an hour of trauma, and we watched people driving past us, looking, staring, and not daring to stop. And all we needed was solidarity. We needed our community around us at that point to stand with us and just not fight. We weren't fighting. We were fighting for our lives at that point. But just the solidarity of having people around us, the numbers going on. And so, that was bad enough. And at that point, I lost a lot of faith in my community. I thought, well, here we are, all on our own, and nothing can be done. Well, recently, actually, this Thursday just gone, we had an incident here at the markets in the evening where we had a drugged individual creating a menace of himself and putting people's lives and businesses at risk, and children were about. So it was somebody had to intervene. And so, I took a deep breath and I thought, well, am I going to step forward and do something about this, or do I just let somebody else take care of it or try to ignore it and hopefully it will go away? Well, I took a breath and I stepped forward and I intervened and I interrupted this fellow doing his thing, and he got angry and he pushed back and he was up in my face and he wasn't pleasant, and obviously he was drunk and drugged. And I started to, try to tell him what was going on here and he needed to be mindful. And at that point, I just thought, well, here I am. And then I paused and looked around and realised that people were starting to leave their seats and get up and walk over. And I looked around me and I had a community around me. I had people that had left the comfort zone and actually come and backed me up. And I thought, isn't that wonderful, Here I am, standing in my community, supporting my community, being responsible to my community, and making a difference. And just having that support, knowing that there was backup, that really just went a long way to restoring my faith in this community. And we all need to be in that space, we all need to be realising that together we are the strong ones. together we have this sorted, we have the power. And this is what TASA is helping us do. TASA is providing the framework, the tools that we need to understand how we can build this community and make it stronger and come together so that we can not just survive this, but thrive and build our beautiful community back and actually have something that we feel safe and strong in, and that actually our children have something to look forward to that they're going to thrive with. So I invite everybody to come along to TASA. I invite everyone to participate in the benefits of having that structure of community support and coming together and having that safety in numbers. You'll get a lot out of being part of TASA. It's all about community at the core of it. And I say, you know, for the people who doubt that there's a remedy there, I invite you to have a look at what the other side are doing. I invite you to see, and I know we all do, what's going on in those migrant communities in our cities and places all over Australia, where they're actually excluding us, the Australians, from their community. And if we go into those communities, we will be held accountable to not being in line with their laws. And they're allowed to create their own laws in those communities at our exclusion. So if they can do it, and it's completely within their rights to do that, so can we. We can create our own communities that are outside of the jurisdiction of usufruct and all that, and come together and create strong, safe communities for us all to live in. So every second and fourth Sunday, down at the Boomerang Hotel at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, we have the Mackay TASA group coming together, and we're learning about what it is to be true community, supporting community. And so if it's not this Sunday, which is Arena, it'll be the following Sunday in Mackay, and you know, you become involved and you know, really become part of that networking that is going to help us all move forward. There's all sorts of gardening initiatives and workshops and professional people or people with expertise. And the thing about it is we all have a voice. And in TASA, everybody's voice is heard. You all get to participate and you all get to be heard. And that's what we need in this country. And sadly, what we've been lacking for so long. So I invite you all. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Lisa, for organising this.